Good morning, everyone. This is Midnight Brands coming to you with Prep Breath for May 4th, 2023. And yes, it's the May the 4th. And May the 4th, oh wait, never mind. We're not going to go into that. Hopefully everybody was able to stay abreast of what was going on yesterday with FOMC. We were able to take advantage of a couple of those plays. Didn't get a whole lot of it. Had just jam-packed day full of meetings. So I was able to catch a few things here and there personally. But it was really good kind of back and forth chop on some of that stuff. So in any event, as a reminder, we're not financial analyst advisors. Nothing we say or do should be construed as any kind of a buy or sell recommendation. And with that, we're going to go ahead and start early and drive right into this stuff here today. So starting off, excuse me, just want to set the state. So we do have a bunch more econ data here this morning. Jobless claims continuing, trade balance, and the unit labor costs, as well as the non-farm productivity. 10:30, if you're natural gas, watch out for that one and keep an eye out. That thing has continued to be a widowmaker on the natural gas side. It looks like overnight it poked all the way back down to the 210-ish. I don't know, that was yesterday. Man, that thing is just a beast. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and get started here. We'll begin as usual with our lovely friend SVXY. Pretty clean zones on it for today. It is currently at 66.50, so gap down a bit there, and is trading right around this kind of trend guide reversal. What's that? Weekly trend guide and AR1 there. So got a swing anchored VWAP coming up to join. Photo ADRs will obviously be lower, but they are there. More importantly, the daily anchored VWAP is right there at about that 66 spot. So really interesting to keep an eye on that one here this morning. Underneath, you've got kind of a double gap fill. We only marked the one because it's closer and more kind of confluent with the monthly trend guide, 50-day and such in there. And yeah, I think that one's, again, super clear. There is, you can maybe denote kind of a little small zone here with swing anchored VWAP, trend strength reference point, but I just didn't include it. Did include this one though from the algo of the auto supply and demand March highs, horizontal array, and monthly pivot point. And that 67.48 was the former high that we poked above, tested, and then we just cut kind of right through it. So that is SVXY. Let's check on VIX, which is at 1940. So gapping up into this trend guide reversal zone, 50-day EMA. Have to keep an eye on it and see how does it continue here. It's definitely been an interesting one. It has struggled with that 50, but this is going to be, I don't know, fourth, fifth test of it here in the recent little bit. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. In any event, so you've got that one there right beneath it, monthly and weekly trend guide with supply and demand. Underneath lower, you've got your 20-day EMA and trend guide. And right kind of immediately beneath that, you end up with your tier 1 daily cheat and your monthly and weekly pivots. And it won't be full ADRs, obviously, as we're kind of gapping up there, but you'll have the supply and demand, gap fill, tier 1 daily cheat, and supply and demand. Certainly been some structure back through here in this kind of area. If we do really start to get going, would keep an eye out up here for the monthly and weekly trend guide 2s, as well as the tier 3 daily cheat expected move. Same thing. SPY right now is about 406.80, so it's moved up a little bit from when we grabbed this screenshot late last night. It certainly pushed up overnight, got up a little bit higher there. But in any event, really good size range yesterday. Not quite as much as the day before, but it was up there, 610, 701. So we're definitely starting to see some of those elevated ADRs. And so with that, we'll zoom in there. So you got kind of what your average ADR tier was, which is what we saw yesterday, with full and photo ADRs underneath. Those are going to move down. Obviously, if we're gapping down almost a buck plus, then they should move down. But of course, have to see where and how we open. Photo ADR does have a div level with some structure there in the tier 1 daily cheat. You could combine that with the trend guide, monthly pivot, weekly pivot zone. It's up to you if you want to go and kind of expand it up to that level. But I'm just keeping them separate at the moment. I mean, they are pretty close, but just keeping it separate. Under and in the middle, we end up having our trend strength 20-day combo high volume node, as well as the prior 2 weeks ago's lows, and the March's highs are in that area. Further, we've got your monthly and weekly trend guides with your tier 1 end of week cheat. And that's right kind of where we ended yesterday, closed right on it, and then continued really after the close. Like we got a little bit of a bump up, like 10-15ish points on ES, and then it faded and then gapped lower. So SPY just kind of continued the trend. I don't remember, I know Qualcomm earnings were bad. I don't remember what else. I wasn't really paying attention. So in any event, you've got kind of that zone there. Under is the bigger one, which is your weekly full ADRs, daily trend guide reversal, supply and demand, 50-day is in there. It doesn't have a joining VWAP. I mean, it's got the one that's up here that we just, we came right through yesterday at that 408 level. But down here at this daily trend guide reversal, there's just not one. There is lower from March 15th swing anchored VWAP, really close to that annual pivot. You got kind of a double gap fill in here. So we've got that. Definitely photo ADR, although it does have the weekly anchored VWAP from March 17th there. I would be more interested in this quarterly pivot, daily anchor VWAP gap fill zone there. If we decide to take this out, because again it's elevated ADRs, if we open at the 406 level, then I would be kind of starting to think about these two potential zones here with the tier 2 daily end of week, monthly and weekly trend guide 2s. And then we fail that, man, because like you have this kind of gap fill in the lower edge there, so maybe you could expand this zone down here to grab the 396.68. I think I'd watch that as a div and see if you double bottom off of it. But if we decide to come down and trade those $6-7 ADRs like we have the last 2 days, then you're looking potentially down here, which would really break a lot of people's hearts that had set some type of a stop here for the March 28th, 29th low, to come down and test this 200 SMA supply demand monthly and weekly trend guides, and certainly some structure in through there. Moving on to the Qs. So starting off, added this zone up here in case we decide to reverse all that stuff. I don't remember actually, did I do that? No, because this was already up like 10 plus bucks. So the Qs didn't respond as much as the SPY did. So Qs are actually right now at 317.30. And so they're pretty damn close to where they closed yesterday. It's definitely stronger. And so with that, since we're going to kind of out 8, 9, 10-ish bucks, did include this. I think that's very unheard of. I don't expect to see this, but like if you blow through and take out kind of this stuff here, this previous day's highs, yesterday's full ADRs, like. This would be kind of the spot to keep an eye on up here. Of course, there's supply and demand and stuff, but again, that's if you take all this stuff out. So you get your weekly photo, monthly, weekly trend guide reversal, and your tier 2 daily cheat in there. Here, again, you could have combined this. You could have taken and broken this to be trend guide and kind of this block of stuff here with combo high volume node, week of April 21st highs, March highs, the structural level at the 321.53 in photo. I left them separate. I may actually roll it up into one when I finish a couple of other updates here this morning, but we'll see. In the middle here, again, you could have also pulled this up and combined trend strength. It just the way it sliced through just didn't feel like it, so just left it as that kind of inside monthly, weekly pivot, supply and demand high on that one. And did leave this swing anchored VWAP on. It is presently violated, and it did get taken out yesterday, but it wasn't by like math, 3, 4, 8, 20 bars. It's just dipped below, and it even came back and recovered some of that afterwards. So in between there, we have our 20-day that is moving up. It's just above that trend guide reversal. Given that the Qs overshoot, I chose to not drag this up and include it. Just felt like that was going to be a bit too much there. So you've got that zone underneath. Monthly trend guide, weekly trend guide should be there. Your tier 1 end of week, and weekly photo ADRs right there as well, combined with a combo high volume node. Under, we've got a nice little lower weekly anchor VWAP, which we also have in here the swing AVWAP with photo ADRs, very similar to SPY. And then under, we end up with the daily from March 13th, combo high volume node, gap fill, and full ADRs, which, again, we'll have to see what the Qs do. Like they're down a little bit here with the indices kind of trading lower. They're testing the, at least ES is testing the trend guide zone, you'll see here in a minute. But then we added these two, so 50-day EMA, gap fill, tier 2 daily cheat, supply and demand right there at that block, and then further, and actually there's definitely structure here too, you can see it, right? That was that gap day on March 29th. So you've got this stuff blocking here too. And then lower, we've got our annual pivot, supply and demand, gap fill. So moving on to ES, like I said, it is coming down. It is testing the top edge of this zone, 50-day EMA in here now as we speak. So we're right into this block here on this one. So trend guide, 50-day supply and demand high. This zone kind of saw the open and close of that gap down yesterday with the swing AVWAP from March 15th. It's coming up and joining that zone even more now. Under, we expanded this zone here, so it's got your gap fill, tier 1 daily cheat, supply demand low, and then underneath was your daily, weekly anchor VWAP pieces. Those are moving up, and so we didn't take it all the way down like this was suggesting. We just kind of started to drag this up here. I'll zoom in there. So you've got that one. Which underneath we have our annual pivot, quarterly pivot, gap fill from March 29th. It's also got full ADRs in there, so we expanded this zone here just a little bit to pick that up, which also gives us the supply and demand. There's also a naked VA right there at that 40-50-ish level. And of course our tier 2 end of week sheet there, but did not include it in there. You can watch it, but there is also the note there that NVPOC right beneath it. So maybe this is something where we do fade lower, we go through, push through the full ADRs, tag the NVPOC, and reverse off of that. Down lower, we get into a bigger one, monthly, weekly trend guides, lower weekly anchor VWAP from December 23rd, supply and demand high. That was full ADRs, but we moved quite a bit off the off of where we closed and moved up. So full ADRs got pulled up when we initially captured all this stuff last night. Under, we've got, what is this one? This is gap fill, tier 3 daily cheat. You can also see there's an NVPOC in there. Tier 1 OPEX is just a touch lower right there. So you could pull it down and include it, but it's, at this point it's so close, why not just grab this monthly trend guide, weekly trend guide, 200-day SMA on horizontal ray pieces there. And so I didn't draw or pull the chart down to pick up this very last one. that seems a bit much there to have grabbed this 3970 to 3962 level, but it's there. Anywho, moving above, so we started off at this block. So above that, you've got your monthly, weekly trend guides, combo high volume nodes, supply demand low. It's also kind of what some of this structure. It's got the weekly IB stat there. And from the overnight, we have a swing anchor VWAP right there. Oh, and also lovely gap fill. In the middle here, we adjusted this zone a little bit. So you can see, like this, and it's not evident here because I don't have the profile on here, but this is a really big high volume node in this block here at this 4028, 4027-ish spot with trend strength reference point, swing anchor VWAP. 20-day is continuing to move down, and we'll be joining the top edge of that zone here. I would put money on in the next, I don't know, 1-2 bars. So that is that zone. Above there, have got a nice one with your monthly and weekly pivots, your daily trend guide. Full ADRs are now in that zone, and we also have a daily anchor VWAP in there from May 1st, and you can see there's the swing anchor VWAP as well from May 1st. May 1st highs, which coincidentally was the weekly IB stat high from that one. Above, you can see there are a few pieces there. There's kind of the hourly closes, really just kind of stop right there at monthly pivot. But you do have a couple more of those wicks. You have yesterday's IB high, so you could have dragged this up. It felt more important to me to drag it down and include the swing anchor VWAP and the end VPOC right there. So that's kind of why it's dragged down to that spot there. And candidly, if we decide to go back and test this low overnight, I mean, then full ADR is going to move down pretty good. So, because I'm thinking if we come back down here, like, why not really mess with people and grab the lower edge of this zone or grab the annual pivot point at the 4060, 4050-ish level. Above there, we added this structure, supply and demand, so you can see like just where this wick was yesterday, and supply and demand, obviously the weekly IB stat from the week before. So we got that, and then really it's just kind of clear sailing up until you get to the weekly IB stat, 4280, 4217-ish spot. So that is ES and Q. So I'll start at the top on this one. So we added a couple of zones up here in case we decide to, do the opposite of what I was discussing on SPY there. And so we added that zone up at the highs, monthly, weekly trend guides, weekly photo, and our tier 3 daily cheat with supply and demand. Under, it was really kind of more of a div level with the weekly IB stat high, the tier 2 daily cheat and structure, and obviously you can see like there's a good amount of stuff in there. It's also coincidentally the combo high value area, and then you can see there's been some structure marked through there at that 13384, 13348 level. So pretty big div. I mean, that's a big 40-ish point div. As you can see, like there's been a good amount of response and stuff here in this area, and I would go as far. I need to look. Maybe I do that this weekend. Maybe I don't. I haven't decided. But I think I'm going to go and start to revisit some of the NQ supply and demands. Because to me, like this definitely looks to me like it's the formation with supply and demand there. Especially given kind of that interaction we had quite a while ago, back in like August or so. In any event, underneath, you have your full ADRs, definitely some responses here that we got from yesterday, so structure, etc. in that block. Lower, we've combined these two, so you've got your trend guide, high daily anchor VWAP, combo point of control, and the tier 1 daily cheat. So pretty good size zone there, but definitely a lot of interactions, right? Weekly or IB high yesterday was in there. Just a lot of stuff. Lower, we've got our trend strength reference point along with monthly and weekly pivot points. There's also going to be the swing anchor VWAP from yesterday coming down to join that one, and I'm sure it's probably already into that zone at this point for that matter. We take out all that stuff. I mean, you could argue there's potentially a div here with the 20-day gap fill. We certainly saw some interaction here last night at that particular spot at the gap fill, and we're testing that spot right now. We're trying to hold it, so you could definitely argue that there is, and I wouldn't put up any fight against it. There's definitely some structural stuff through here, and kind of like the IB stat low from the other week, the IB stat low from this week. And so you could definitely mark this. In fact, I'll probably do that on my regular chart. Is mark that as a div before I send and share it off with some other folks. So you got that spot there again. It's more of a div. I don't remember what was there from a volume profile perspective, but you do have that. Lower, we've got our trend guide reversal, tier 1 end of week cheat, tier 1 daily, and the combo high volume node. Lower, we end up with full ADR, weekly photo ADRs, gap fill, naked VA. Almost looks like there's an NV pocket in here too. No, that's just combo high volume node. So that's kind of what that block is there. And lower, we end up with a div block, which is our daily anchor VWAP, high volume node, gap fill. It was full ADRs, obviously that's moved up, and then the tier 2 daily cheat. Lower is our 50-day EMA, weekly full supply and demand zone, and there's a weekly anchor VWAP from March 10th there. And we decided to take all that stuff out. Like, this is massive, be massive give back of all the stuff over the last few weeks. But that would take us all the way down to that lower edge gap fill. Lower edge is supply and demand. So this would be really big down here. RTY, what a mess, man. This thing, if this ABCD plays out, I mean, that's going to really be bad. You can see this trend line here. This was the trend line we've been following, and it looks like we faked everybody out, thinking we were going to break out. You could argue if you're that kind of trader, left shoulder, head, and then lower, much lower right shoulder, and breaking back down there. So it doesn't look pretty. You could also argue inverse cup and handle there. So looking pretty nasty on RTY there. You can also see just basic, like the weekly IB stat high has been getting lower and lower. So yeah. In any event, we added this supply demand monthly pivot point structure there. Underneath, underneath daily trend guide, weekly pivots, 20-day EMA, high daily anchor VWAP, full ADRs have moved down, and so it's part of that zone now. In the middle there, you've got your trend strength, high daily anchor VWAP from May 1st, combo point of control, and photo ADRs are in there. We'll see how they sit out. Given that RTY is, I'm sure, probably even still fading as we speak. Let's go see what it's doing. It is trying to bounce off of monthly trend guide, so we will see. It is holding there for, it's holding for its dear life. But that is that next zone down. So you get weekly trend guide reversal, daily trend guide reversal, tier 1 end of week cheat, tier 1 daily cheat. It's just a really big block on that one. Added this zone here, forgot to notate it, but it is a just kind of this structure here. You got an NVPOC, weekly IB stat low, so we added this one. Also added this OPEX cheat, tier 2 daily cheat, naked VA, supply and demand, photo ADRs is this block here. With the last one, algo's picking up, we combined the weekly trend guide reversal 2, tier 2 end of week cheat, supply and demand, and it is now full ADRs because photo moved up. And then VPOC towards the lower edge. So that's a pretty good zone there. It's still not even getting into where this ABCD is kind of looking towards. So again, not looking pretty on RTY. YM, and there's actually probably an ABCD here on this going from here to here. That's probably pretty damn close to a 50% retrace. Probably coming down to this block here. It's probably even a ABCD that'll put it right there too at that spot. In any event, looking at its zone, so up at the highs here, monthly pivot, weekly pivot, combo high volume node, underneath daily trend guide, swing anchor VWAP, combo point of control, full ADR. So pretty good stuff here in this one. It didn't include the 20-day is, you know, continue to break down lower. It's probably going to line up right here at this combo high volume node, naked VA. Just didn't feel like it was necessary to drag and make that zone even bigger. Under, you have your trend strength, monthly and weekly trend guides, and then your daily trend guide reversal zone underneath. That said, I did add this kind of later, where we added this div structure combo high volume node. It caught our eye towards the end as we were doing and getting this prep ready. And you had this kind of hold here yesterday, sliced right through it, but then overnight, like, we couldn't even break into that spot there. So in any event, like I said, underneath you got trend guide reversal. There's an NV POC between this kind of div and this zone here for the daily trend guide, supply and demand high, you know, weekly ID stat low from the other week, but just didn't feel right to combine those two. Do it if you want. It didn't feel like the right thing to us. Lower quarterly pivot, weekly anchor VWAP from March 17th, joining this one. And then down lower you have your weekly and monthly trend guide 2s, as well as full ADR, naked VA, and VPOC is hiding right in there with that gap fill from the looks of it. So you've got that, and then annual pivot is a nice kind of zone. It was full ADRs, it's now moved up, so it's just annual pivot and naked VA there. Do have an NVPOC between these, so you could call that out as a div, you could expand that out. Made more sense to treat kind of the 200-day SMA with the monthly and weekly trend guide 3s kind of right there as one block. Last up, our second to last up, is CL. This thing is a freaking mess. We had $4 yesterday, but man, the overnight stuff just exploded, and I mean, that's a $5 move there on the opening candle. I mean, that was massive. I wish I'd seen it. I definitely would have wanted to try that, because that was a pretty massive drop there. More than wanted to leave this on here. We more than exceeded the ABCD that we had drawn, and obviously this was a bit unusual in ABCD where we kind of broke down. This was definitely a good size retrace of that, but it seemed to fit, and man, did we just blow through that without any thought at all. So as we sit here now, we've already blown through. Actually, now we are trying to hold desperately the session VWAP and swing A VWAP here right at the monthly trend guide reversals 2, weekly trend guide reversal 3 zone, as well as this gap fill in here. So we are trying to hold this block in here as we currently speak at 68.55. Added this zone here, so it's yesterday's high volume node, trend strength reference point. It has been so far the overnight high. There's naked VA there, combo high volume node. It was looking pretty big, especially with just how we traded up in there. And then this block over here was really a high volume node from yesterday. The point of control is just beneath all of that for today so far. So this is going to be an interesting watch here today on CL for sure. If we decide to lose this, then you've got your trend guide reversal zone here, your tier 1 daily cheat. I feel like these don't matter just given how we blew through so much of this stuff last night. There had been historically structure at the 6682 over here on the daily chart, but it doesn't seem like as much at this point. You get underneath there, then you got your weekly trend guide reversal, quarterly trend guide reversal 1 there. So we had been trying to hold this quarterly pivot, weekly trend guide stuff here. It feels like, just yesterday, but that obviously got way taken out. So pretty good sized zone here with this block. So quarterly trend guide, weekly trend guide, tier 2 OPEX cheat in the formation of a high supply and demand. There's also, as you can see, that dashed blue line is a naked VA value area there, going back from I don't know how many days, weeks ago. And you got these other ones below, like, but I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't feel like we're gonna go back and retest these lows here overnight. I have a feeling people are gonna want to try to fade it to go back there, but it doesn't give me the impression we're gonna do that. So that's why I kept these upside zones here. Would definitely be really pushing on the ADRs. We're already elevated, but like we're not as elevated even as we had back here just a few weeks ago in March, where we had like, I think it was a $7 move day back on one of those blocks, one of those sessions. So also really interesting to note, and that's why I zoomed out to this bottom chart here, is we are big time into, like, we're at some of the lower edges of the symmetrical extreme. That does not mean I am rushing out to go put some short put positions or loading up on UCO or any of these things yet, but it is definitely caught, I'm sure, lots of people's eyes, and it can definitely keep moving lower. So definitely one for us to keep an eye on here. I think I'm going to call it there on CL again. You got a couple of these upside zones here that we could go and hit. Would be really interesting to see it come up and test this daily trend guide. Try to reclaim the weekly cheat, etc. there on that one. And I will finish off with gold because I want to get out of here to get started on some other things. So in gold, similar big massive push up. Definitely has pushed it into its symmetrical extremes on the sell side. So this was full ADRs, and it just blew and tapped the lower edge of it there. Underneath, you've got a pretty good sized zone there with AR1, quarterly trend guide reversal, horizontal ray. You also have expanded it up there a little bit to grab the tier 2 end of week cheat. And so that's a pretty good sized one. Underneath, you have your, I can't even tell, is that the daily? Yeah, it's the tier 1 daily cheat at that block there. Naked VA, weekly trend guide reversal 3. So pretty good sides. We split these two. It was trying to combine the monthly trend guide, weekly trend guide reversal, gap fill, full ADR. How the hell did that happen? That's, oh, because this, yeah, because of the gap. So I pushed full ADRs up there. Got it. So we split these two apart. There's the gap fill now in the middle, but it just made sense for us to split this into two blocks there. Right now, GC is trying, it came up and tried the test, the lower edge, and it's trying to fade back there a little bit. And session VWAP is right there with it. Don't know I'm ready to short it yet, because I'm actually going to get out of here and leave in just a minute, but that could be an interesting one, is with session VWAP joining right here at this block here with monthly trend guide reversal. In any event, underneath you have this nice, good kind of trend strength reference point zone there that we bounced and held off of overnight. You got a swing A VWAP, trend strength, gap fill, combo high volume node, NV POC towards the lower edge, as well as the tier 1 end of week cheat at that block. If we do decide to take that out and give up a lot of this push and stuff from yesterday and whatnot, then we end up with our swing anchored VWAP, daily trend guide, combo point of control is way the heck up here. Again, go look on my Twitter feed from a little while ago, and I posted some stuff about what I was looking at for this combo point of control stuff. Short TLDR is, it's looking over 3-year, 20-day, 10-day, last week, 5-day, and yesterday's volume profiles, aggregating them together and putting a heavier weight on the more recent, drives a higher kind of weighting. So, anywho, last two are down here. So weekly trend guide, high volume node, last week's highs, tier 1 daily cheat, horizontal ray, which was some structure of the 2021, and then fade all that. You get all the way back to the 20-day, which I highly doubt this is coming anytime soon. That would really, well, we already traded 47 bucks on just this opening kind of push and this here, so that'd be another 30, so that'd be 70 some points on GC. I just don't buy that. So anywho, that is it. As a reminder, a bunch of econ stuff here later this morning, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. And I think that's it, folks. I don't see any questions in there, so hopefully everybody has a good one. And that is it. We will catch y'all later. Thanks.